Welcome to the e-learning program in which I will help you to prepare for the English final exams in cooperation with iAsk. My name is Ágnes Lepold. I'm a teacher at the Jurisich Miklós Secondary Grammar School here in Kőszeg. And we are going to do the topics of the speaking exam at O level and A level. And also I will give you some tips for the writing part. Let's get started. Let's see what types of tasks you can get in the speaking exam. And I will speak to you in Hungarian for a little while. Azért váltok magyarra, hogy nehogy eltéveszt, hogy miről van szó. Az angol érettségi szóbelin ez a háromféle típusú feladat jöhet elő a középszinten, és az O-level-lel fogom jelölni a videóban a középszintet, úgyhogy ha erre a szintre készülsz, akkor különösen ezeket figyeld. Tehát először egy beszélgetés, interview, ahol a vizsgáztatóval kell beszélgetni valamilyen témáról. A második egy szituáció eljátszása, ez a roleplay, amikor egy adott szituációban kell valamilyen feladatot megoldanod, itt is a vizsgáztatóval beszélgetsz. És a harmadik pedig kép alapján önálló témakifejtés. Itt elsősorban neked magadnak kell beszélni a képek által sugalt témáról, és a vizsgáztató csak akkor kérdez, hogyha megakadtál, vagy ha még amit elmondtál, azon felül még szeretne kérdezni valamit. Emelt szinten, amit A-level-lel fogok jelölni a videóban, tehát aki emelt szintre készül, az majd legyen szíves ezeket nagyon figyelni. Az első és a harmadik feladat az hasonló, a második az teljesen más. Tehát az első egy beszélgetés, a második itt viszont egy vita, ahol egy adott állításról kell vitatkozni, és határozottan állást kell foglalni, vagy mellette, vagy ellene. Ez a debate. A harmadik feladat pedig itt is kép alapján önálló témakifejtés. And today's topic. Well, we are still in the quarantine time because of the coronavirus, so a lot of us work from home. And in this video, we are going to have some online demonstrations of the interview or the debate or the role play and so on, so the exam tasks, because people are working from home. Today, our topic is work. So let's see what topics are involved at O level within this. Student work, summer jobs, choosing a career, further education or taking up a job. Don't worry, be happy. These topics are not very difficult, and I think you have experience in these topics, or at least some experience, and I'll help you prepare for the exam tasks. Now let's see the A-level topics involved. Of course, you should be able to talk about those at O-level, plus about working conditions, opportunities to work in Hungary and to work abroad, working from home. Now we have a lot of experience on that. Trendy jobs. And look at what people think about work in the morning. But I hope if you find your ideal job, you won't be like that. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see an interview sample question at O level about career plans. What questions could you get? For example, what would you like to do after leaving school? What would you like to be? Do you think it's important to have a degree? What types of jobs do you know? What do you need to do to apply for a job? Okay, I'd like to give you a sample answer, and in this sample answer I've underlined some expressions to help you with the grammar that you could use. And please try to use correct grammar in the exam as well, okay? Because you will get higher points then. That's what Master Yoda is advising you to. Okay, so let's see the sample answer. What would you like to do after leaving school? I'm planning to go on to university to study this or that, or to find a job in this or that. So after plan, please use a to plus infinitive. I've already been offered a job at, and you tell the company, tell us the company. I hope I can. What would you like to be? I've been learning to become whatever. As you can see, sometimes it's great to use the present perfect or even the present perfect continuous because you started something in the past and you have just finished, or you have been going on with it for a long time. Oops. The next one, I'm thinking of working as a something because. So thinking of, I'm thinking of, after the preposition, use an ing form. I'd like to, because. After I'd like to, I'd love to, and so on, use a to infinitive. I hope to become something. After hope, you can use a to infinitive, but as you can see in an earlier example, I hope I can is also possible. Let's go on with this sample answer about this question. Do you think it is important to have a degree? Well, it depends on what you want to do. Personally, I hope to start university and get a degree in. To be honest, a degree is not necessary to be successful in many areas. For example, what types of jobs do you know? There are physical and mental jobs, or in other words, blue-collar and white-collar jobs. Blue-collar jobs are ones that you do in a factory, such as in white-collar jobs you work in an office or a school, for instance. What do you need to do to apply for a job? Well, let's see this sample answer. This part of the question is something that you might not be very much experienced in. So, first of all, you should look for vacancies. You can find job advertisements in newspapers or on the internet. Sometimes friends or relatives can help you find a vacancy too. Next, you need to write a letter of application, or in other words, a cover letter. Also, you have to write a CV, which is a brief summary of your studies and previous experience. Sometimes it's enough to phone the company to apply, for example, in this or that situation. Then, hopefully, you will be given an appointment for an interview, which is a meeting with your future-to-be employers. You will be asked some questions, and after that, they'll decide whether they want to employ you or not. So this is what you could say about how to apply for a job and the topic of career plans. Okay, now let's go on to the A-level interview. The topic is working abroad. You could be asked questions like this. What are some of the reasons why people want to work abroad? How about you? What do you need to do to find a job abroad? What are the disadvantages of working abroad? What advice could you give to someone who wants to find a job in a foreign country? Now, I'd like to demonstrate this part of the exam with my American colleague, who obviously works abroad from her point of view. Okay, so let's get started with the interview about working abroad. So what are some reasons why people would work abroad? What were your reasons?
Personally, my reasons were a love of travel and a desire to see new places and new people, and a love of language. I wanted to share English, both the language and certain parts of American culture. with others. So for me, the reasons were personal as well as professional. And I think I am one of the fortunate ones who were able to make that choice. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the privilege to choose whether they want to work abroad or not. Financial necessity is the choice for them, whether they can make more money abroad, or if their workforce sends them to another country, it can create some tension, particularly in the family, if they are not all in agreement.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
As for other reasons people might work abroad, I think there are a variety. I know a few people who decided to work abroad for love. They they're American. They met Hungarians and fell in love, got married, and stayed here forever.
Oh, yeah. Hungarians are so lovable.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So they settled down here.
They did. They chose to do that rather than go back to the United States, where things could be more difficult.
Yeah. What are the disadvantages of working abroad? Have you experienced anything bad about it?
Absolutely. And they affect everyone in varying degrees. I think the first and the most difficult is the culture shock. There are many parts of that. Whether it's the language, which can be, especially in Hungary, very difficult. I love you, but your language, very difficult thing to learn. And but I think that's only one part of the cultural differences. There's also the small expectations of life. I had to learn a new set of manners and polite activities here than I know from home. There are stereotypes that I face, even from friends who are well-meaning, who forget or don't think about what they're saying carefully. And casually remark, "Oh, all Americans are doing this or doing that." So it's small things that can add up to a stressful situation from time to time. I think another disadvantage beyond the culture shock has to do with missing my family. And this is very difficult. I live thousands of miles from my blood relations, and especially when there are problems in the family, health emergencies or such, that it's very difficult to be far from home. You feel helpless and you feel isolated very, very often. But the good times are also difficult. For me, it's November, our family holiday of Thanksgiving, as well as many family birthdays and the birthday of my very best friend, all in the same month. It's a difficult time to be away from home. I know that.
Of course. All right. Yeah. And what do you need to find a job abroad? So how do you start? What do you need to do?
For me, it was online. I knew I had a skill that would be in demand abroad. And so I began looking for places to use that skill. I don't just mean speaking English. Obviously, that's something that many, many people can do. But I was a teacher of English before I moved abroad. And so I knew I had that, the marketable part of my skill set. I contacted several different employment agencies. There are places, we call them headhunters. It's a horrible term, but it has to do with people who find employees. They are contracted by...
Yeah, there's a Hungarian term too, headhunters,
Okay, so I contacted a few different agencies. Some were more reputable than others. some wanted to take my money. Yes. And then of the qualified organizations, there were some who offered different levels of support for their workers. So one that I ultimately chose to go with was a fee-based program, but it also provided a very high level of support for me through the process, as well as even now I am supported by them. So having that safety net was important to me.
Right.
I know that there are others who choose to travel and they work off the grid in the countries, giving private lessons or working off the books at schools for after-school programs and such. But I wanted a little more stability than that.
I see. Yeah. What advice could you give to someone who wants to work abroad?
I would give you the advice that you should know your own strength of character, first and foremost. Living and working abroad is not an easy adventure. It seems like it. It seems like a fantasy life to travel and live and work abroad. But the reality is that we are the same people, whether we live here in Hungary, in the United States, or anywhere else in the world. And you bring your own personality strengths, but you bring your own personality problems as well. Travel and working abroad, living abroad can be very isolating and very lonely. And so my second piece of advice would be to work hard and make quality friends, people that you can depend on.
It's important to have people around who you can depend on. I agree.
I would also recommend, especially to people who, like me, come from large families, to make friends with different generations. Here in Hungary, I have friends who are senior citizens. I have friends who are in age or a little bit older. I have friends who are younger than I. Friends with young children, families, babies, so that I can still interact with all the different generations. It's important to make that contact.
Just like a new family.
Yes, a bit.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's great. Yeah. And are you happy here?
Very much so. Yes. I mentioned the difficulties, but they are far outweighed by the benefits, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. I'm delighted. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So let's go on to the second part of the exam, which is a situational role play at the O-level exam. Let's see the situation. You are planning to do a 2-week language course in an English-speaking country in the summer, and you would like to do a part-time job as well. You have contacted an agency via email, and now you must talk to them on the phone about the possibilities. In the interview, answer the questions of the assistant, tell him or her when you are available, say whether you want a job for only those 2 weeks or longer, ask about the working hours and payment for each job, choose the job you prefer, and discuss other details of when and where to start the job. The examiner plays the role of the assistant. Now we are going to demonstrate this situational role play with my student, Annette, who is here with us online. All right, so let's act out this situation about finding a part-time job in the summer. Okay, and we are going to talk on the phone, so I will take the phone, okay?
Okay.
Hello, Summer Jobs Agency, how can I help you?
Hello, I would like to have a job during I have a language course for 2 weeks.
Oh yes, can I have your name please?
Yes, Anat Kulcsár.
Okay. Oh yes, you're Annette from Hungary, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yes, we have talked to each other in email. Right. Okay. Well, I have some offers for you. Well, it depends when you are available. So when would you like to work?
I would be available from 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. All right. Well, I've got a job for you in a pub where you could be a barmaid, kind of a waitress there, and you could start at 6 o'clock in the evening until quite late, like midnight or something like that. Or there's another one. You could help out in a hotel where they need a sort of an assistant with the programs. When they organize programs for the guests, you could be an assistant of the organizer. And you would have to start at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon until like 8 or 9 o'clock.
I think for me, the hotel job would be more likely to be okay, because I have the language course really early in the morning, so I couldn't work
Right.
really long.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay. And would you like to work for 2 weeks? As you said in your email, the language course is for 2 weeks. Or would you like to work longer? I mean, after the course or before the course? When could you start?
Well, I think I would stay for 1 more week after I finish the course that I have.
Okay.
So
what are the dates when you could start your job?
I could start in Monday for the first week that I in.
Yes. So, the first Monday of July. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Anything else I can help you with?
I think that's all.
Okay.
How much would be the payment that I get?
Okay, all right. Good question. For every night at the hotel, you would get £70, and it would be from, as I said, from 5 until like 8 or 9 o'clock. And sometimes you would have to work at the weekends as well, and for the same hours, for the same salary. Is that okay for you?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, all right. So, before you come here, I'd like you to send me an email about when we could meet, because on your first day, on that Monday, I would like to take you to the place and introduce you to the hotel staff. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you. And what documents would I need for the job?
Okay, all right. Because you are a student and you have this language course, you are considered a student in this country as well. So you will need your identity card or passport, also your student ID, and also this certificate or some kind of letter from the language school that you take part in their course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye. Okay, let's go on and let's see the third part of the O-level exam, which is a picture-based talk. Look at the pictures about some jobs. Talk about them, including the following points. What kind of jobs are they? What are their workplaces like? What qualifications and skills are needed? Can you imagine yourself working in these jobs? What are their advantages and disadvantages? Well, in the exam, you are not usually given questions with the pictures. you are just given the topic. I've given you these questions to help you prepare for this sort of picture-based talk. And I am going to demonstrate this task to you. So, these images show people working. Well, all of them are men, but obviously there could be women as well in many of these jobs. The first one is some kind of physical work. It could be a factory. As far as I can see, the guy is sewing something on a sewing machine. In the second picture, I can see a guy working with a computer. There are actually two computer screens that I can see. He could be a manager, or he could be some IT specialist or something like that. That's a mental job. The third picture shows a guy at a building site. He's probably a builder, or could be the boss of the builders. So it's a job in which more physical activity is involved. This guy works outside usually, but of course when planning or when they work inside the building, they might be inside, but usually it's working in the fresh air with a lot of machines. The first picture shows a factory. Maybe a lot of people work in the same huge room, while in the second picture the guy is working in an office. It doesn't look a very big office, so maybe he's just on his own working there. To be a manager or an IT specialist, you need a degree or some kind of higher educational certificate. To work in a factory, well, even if you are unskilled, you might get a job like this. And to work as a builder, some qualifications are necessary, and there are a lot of different types of jobs involved in construction. But also there are some people who work in this sector without qualifications, and they help those who are qualified. Well, actually, I can't really imagine myself working in construction. I don't think I would be able to do that physical work. And I'm not very good with machines either. Well, sewing in a sewing factory, well, that could be quite monotonous. I don't really like that sort of job, so I can't really imagine myself working there. Well, the second picture, working in an office with a computer, could be boring as well. It depends what you've got to do. And I can see some headphones, so maybe the guy has to contact people, and that's something I like about the job, to work with people. So I could imagine myself working in this situation. I think a great disadvantage, though, would be that in this job you've got to sit all day, which is quite unhealthy. So I think that would be the hardest part for me. Also, in the sewing factory, sitting in the same place all day is a difficult and also it could be a health risk. While working in construction has its own risks as well. There could be some accidents, and that's why you've got to wear protective clothing, especially a helmet is really useful. So I'm not very keen on any of these jobs. Well, I could imagine myself in a physical job, and not very difficult, not very hard job, I mean, but and working outside would be okay for me, but my priority is to work with people, so that's something I would really like. Okay, let's go on, and let me show you the Facebook site called Bridging the Gap, where you can, for example, join our meme challenges just for fun to give you an enjoyable time while learning English. For example, this is a meme one of my students made and I really like it. Also on the site you can find some links which will help you to practice for the exams. Also some practice tips. And here's what you need to find on Facebook: Bridging the Gap, Lepold Ágnes. And in the top right corner you can see the picture of the site. So see you there. Come and practice. Now let's go on to the second part of the A-level exam, which is a debate. Remember that in the debate you must react to what has been said by your partner, the examiner. You must disagree politely, state your views, and give examples. And also it's good to ask for your partner's opinion. You should be able to bring up at least 3 or 4 arguments or examples to support your view, which means that you will have 3 or 4 turns to express your views. Okay? And also you should be able to use varied expressions. In some previous videos I have given you a lot of expressions to use. And please try to use high-level grammar and vocabulary. We are giving you samples from which you can learn and improve your vocabulary, and also you can practice your grammar. So today's statement is teleworking should replace working in offices. We are going to demonstrate this debate to you with my colleague, Claire, who's a native speaker of English. And she's here with us online. Right, so let's see this statement. Teleworking should replace working in offices. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? And tell me why.
Oh, I absolutely agree with this statement. I think it's a very efficient and very convenient way for people to get work done. I particularly think that it's good for a variety of reasons. We have the environmental impact of having fewer commuters, particularly as someone from a large city. I'm from the California Silicon Valley, and traffic is horrible. It takes 3 hours to travel just a few kilometers. And having the environmental impact of so many cars on the road is dangerous for our world, but also it's a lot of wasted time having that many people stuck in their car when they could be doing work or spending time in an enjoyable way.
Yeah, I see your point, and I actually agree with this environmental aspect. On the other hand, I believe that teleworking might not be as effective as working in an office sometimes. For example, during this quarantine time, a lot of people worked from home, and I heard people who usually work in their offices with a team of people that working from home was difficult because they couldn't work as a team. They had to work much more individually, and cooperation was hindered because of this situation. They could use some applications and software, of course, that were developed for this purpose. But even so, it was very, very difficult, because sometimes when you do like bookkeeping or something like that, you need to ask the other person just next to you, do you remember how we did this last time? And it's just one sentence that you need, actually. Working from home makes this sort of cooperation very difficult, don't you think so?
I agree. There are different levels of efficiency possible. But I also think that collaboration and teamwork can be enhanced by teleworking, as we can collaborate with a much wider group of people through the technology we have. I have been collaborating in my English lessons with people in the United States and the UK because I wanted to give my students the opportunity to have conversations with more native speakers. So I think instead of focusing only on the office and the interactions with my immediate coworkers, having the opportunity to provide out-of-the-box lessons, we could say, has been really helpful for my students.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the cooperation can be enhanced.
Yes, and yeah, I agree that the new situation brings new solutions. Yeah, that's true. On the other hand, there are some offices that deal with problems of people, where the people go and, for example, they need new documents or they need to arrange something, and often in these situations doing it person to person, face to face, is easier than online, because even if the forms are available online, a lot of people just can't fill in the forms correctly because it's official language and so on and so on. So they need help even to fill in the forms, and they would need a clerk's or somebody's help. So I wouldn't recommend teleworking for these kinds of offices either.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think there will always be essential services that cannot be replaced by teleworking. But I think as often as it is possible, we should employ these new technologies to enhance our ability to telework. It can also be a wonderful way for families to spend more time together. Particularly, I'm thinking of new mothers. Obviously, we would like for them to be able to stay at home, rest, and take care of their family. But the financial necessity of the household may be that she has to go to work sooner than she wishes. So this is one way for families to stay together and still be effective in a workplace as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That's great. I think we can come to an agreement in the end.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so let's go on to the third part of the A-level exam, which is a picture-based talk. Look at the pictures showing different aspects of a good job. In the exam, you are not given much else. So you are not given points to consider for the topic, but I will give you some points to consider about this just to help you prepare for it. So compare and contrast them, including the following points: your priorities, what else you consider to be important, how important success is for you, what could make you happy in a job. And this time I would like to demonstrate this task for you. These images show different aspects of a good job, what people could find important when they think about their jobs. For example, is it the salary that's important? Or is it your connection with colleagues, like your boss? Whether you prefer to work in a team and cooperate with others or alone? And also, whether you can get a promotion, or do you have any chances to move further up on the corporate ladder. I think these are all very important, although the chances of promotion, well, that's not very important for me, but I like working in a team, and I think it's really important to cooperate to achieve the results that we want. I also find it important that bosses should have a helpful attitude, a supportive attitude towards their employees, and not an authoritative way of communicating with them. I find it much easier and much nicer and much more effective to work in an environment where the boss is understanding and helpful, more like a facilitator than a boss. Of course, the salary is important because we must make ends meet. There are some jobs in which you enjoy what you do so much that the salary is not very important, but of course you must support your family and so on and so on, so the salary is always important, I think, is always essential. Let's talk about success now. Some people think that success means that they earn a lot of money. For me, it's not success. For me, success means that I can produce something that's valuable. As a teacher, I can say that when students get good exam results, now that's the success that the teacher has. So also these personal connections and relationships are very important for me, and in the results that they achieve, I think I have achieved something really important. Success means promotion for a lot of people. I can understand that because in some cases, while they are in a lower position, they cannot realize their own ideas, and if they work hard, they can move up on the corporate ladder, and in a higher position they can have their own ideas realized, and they can do things better than before, and they can plan how to do it. So maybe for some people getting promoted means that they have more freedom in their work. I think success can be teamwork success, team success, which is also very important. If you like working with others, then you are delighted by the success of the whole team. I think it's a source of happiness as well when you achieve the result that you want to. So for me, a key point is achieving results, and if possible, doing it with other people. In terms of your relationship with your boss, it's also important that your boss appreciates your work. I think praising people for what they have done is an important motivational factor. So I think a good boss can motivate their people, can praise their people for their good work, and that's also a sign of success for employees, that they have been praised for what they have done. So that's a success factor as well. Well, what else could make me happy in a job? I would say that I like creative challenges. When I've got to use my ideas, do something that's new. Actually, I sometimes say that if I am bored at my work, how can I expect my students not to be bored? So I really try to do something new, or try new things, experiment with things, just because I want to achieve motivation, and I want to achieve activity. Okay, so that's what I would say about these pictures, about this topic. And now let me make a suggestion for you to practice for the exams. Please visit the website Bridging the Gap this is the address, the web address where you could go, where you can find the e-learning site, and there are suggestions for practice for the speaking exams and also for the written exams, with a lot of tips and a lot of advice and a lot of practice options. Thank you very much for your attention. I keep my fingers crossed for you for the exam.